I think Cipher's mind was never his own. Not really. There's something about the way he moves, deliberate, restrained, like a man fighting a voice that's not his. When he speaks, it's calm, almost surgical. But behind every word, there's a pulse, a low-frequency hum, the kind of noise that doesn't come from thought, but from something older, something that remembers. And that's where it all starts. Not with Cipher's plan, not even with Marie Moreau's blood-soaked evolution. It starts with a ghost. Thomas Godolkin's ghost. Before we break this insane theory, please give it a thumbs up and share this content with others who appreciate detailed analyses. The ghost in Cipher's mind. I've watched enough of Vaught's success stories to recognize when someone isn't built right. Cipher wasn't born. He was assembled. A product of Godolkin's last experiment, Project Odessa. Odessa wasn't about creating stronger soups. It was about control. Not through muscle or lasers or compound V, but through memory, through thought itself. Thomas Godolkin had discovered something strange in his final years, that compound V didn't just alter bodies. It left behind psychic residues, fragments of personalities and neural patterns that echoed long after the physical host was gone. Godolkin theorized that the right subject could absorb these remnants, not just powers, but consciousness itself. Cipher was that subject. But what nobody realized is that when Cipher absorbed Godolkin's data, he didn't just take his work, he took him. Cipher was never alone. That's the real twist. Cipher's voice, the calm, measured tone, the philosopher of chaos, isn't just Cipher. It's Godolkin whispering through him, shaping his thoughts, erasing his doubts. Every decision Cipher's made since Gen V began, every move against Vought, every manipulation of Marie, every word about liberation, it's been part of Godolkin's unfinished mission. Not to destroy soups, but to rewrite them. See, that's the thing. Godolkin believed the world didn't need more soups. It needed better ones. The kind that couldn't be bought or brainwashed by Vought. The kind that didn't fear their own potential. But the process, the one that made Cipher, also broke him. The human mind isn't built to share a body with another consciousness. Cipher isn't just haunted, he's inhabited. He's a living echo. Marie Moreau, the perfect key. And then there's Marie. When we first meet her, she's raw energy. Trauma and blood fused into something Vought never intended to perfect. Her power isn't about violence, though. It's about connection. Blood is the most primal link between living things. It carries life, memory, and emotion. And somewhere in that connection, Cipher saw an opportunity. To him, Marie wasn't a student, she was a catalyst. Her ability to manipulate blood means she can interact with the most basic human code, DNA. But Compound V rewrote that code long ago. That's what makes her different. Her power doesn't just manipulate the present, it can reach into the past. Every drop of blood she controls carries the history of its host, their evolution, and their psychic imprint. That's why Cipher wanted her close, not as an ally, as a conduit. If Cipher is a vessel for Godolkin's consciousness, Marie is the bridge that can give it form again. The resurrection plan. Here's where the theory gets insane, but stay with me. Cipher's true goal wasn't to destroy Vought, it was to finish Godolkin's experiment. By using Marie's blood manipulation, Cipher could reconstruct the biological residue of Godolkin's neural pattern stored in his own DNA. Think about that. Godolkin's mind, reconstructed cell by cell, using Cipher as the host and Marie as the architect. Project Odessa wasn't about psychic enhancement. It was about immortality. Cipher would become the prototype, the mind that lives forever, jumping from host to host, evolving with each generation of soups. And in a dark twist of irony, the man who once wanted to free soups from Vought would become the very system he despised. The god of soups. The fracture between Cipher and Godolkin. But something went wrong. The deeper Cipher dove into his own mind, the more he realized that Godolkin wasn't a guiding voice. He was a parasite. The line between mentor and manipulator blurred until Cipher couldn't tell whose thoughts were whose.
I like you, but let's never forget who controls who.
And that's when he began to fracture. The Cipher we see in Season 2 isn't the cold mastermind he used to be. He's erratic, unpredictable, more human, almost desperate, because he's losing the war in his own head. And Marie? She's caught in the middle. She still believes she's fighting for justice, to uncover what Vaught's done, to save those who can't defend themselves. But Cipher sees her differently now, not as a pawn, but as a threat. Because if Marie unlocks her full potential, she might not just destroy Vought, she might destroy him. She's the only person powerful enough to sever the bond between Cipher and Godolkin, to erase the consciousness that's been manipulating both of them. That's why Cipher turned on her. Marie deserved to lose this round. It sounds cruel, doesn't it? But maybe it's true. Marie's greatest strength, her empathy, is also her weakness. She still believes she can save people who don't want to be saved. She doesn't understand that Cipher's war isn't against Vought anymore. It's against himself. In trying to stop him, she's fighting the symptom, not the disease. That's why, when she lost this round, when Cipher outplayed her, escaped her trap, and maybe even hurt someone she cared about, it wasn't because she was weak. It was because she was human. And that's the tragedy of Marie Moreau. In a world of gods, she still bleeds. The psychic war we didn't see coming. Cipher's psychic war might not be contained to him alone. Every soup created through Vought's compound V carries traces of others. Echoes, fragments, overlapping consciousnesses. What if Godolkin's experiment didn't end with Cipher? What if every soup, in some small way, carries a voice that isn't theirs? Marie's powers, tied to the bloodstream of soups across the nation, could awaken those remnants. Cipher might just be the beginning, the first to break through the illusion, and that could be his real goal now. Not destruction, but revelation. To make every soup hear the voices buried within them. Imagine the chaos, the fear, the realization that your thoughts, your instincts, your rage, maybe none of it ever belonged to you. Cipher isn't trying to kill the soups. He's trying to wake them up. If that's true, then everything about Cipher's actions makes sense. The manipulation, the betrayals, the war against Vought. He's not a villain in the traditional sense. He's a prophet, or maybe a heretic. Someone who's seen what's really beneath the surface of Compound V and decided that humanity deserves to see it too, no matter the cost. But prophets rarely live long enough to see the world they dream of, and that's where Marie comes in. She's the final step in his evolution, the last piece of the puzzle. Cipher believes that through her blood, he can resurrect Godolkin one last time, fuse their consciousnesses, and unlock what he calls the final layer, a state of existence where mind, memory, and mutation become one. But if Marie can stop him, if she can see through the illusion and separate Cipher from Godolkin's influence, she could end the entire cycle of manipulation that's defined Vought since the beginning. The tragic irony, though, is brutal. Cipher's mind isn't his own, but neither is Marie's fate. Both of them are products of Vought's experiments, two broken creations trying to find purpose in a world that made them weapons. Cipher is trying to free himself from the ghost in his head. Marie's trying to free herself from the system that put one in hers. And in a dark, poetic way, maybe they're the same person, just two sides of the same experiment. The quiet ending. When the dust settles, I think Marie will win, but not in the way she hopes. She'll stop Cipher. She'll break his connection to Godolkin. She might even save others from his plan. But in doing so, she'll lose something of herself. That empathy, that hope that the world could still be fixed. And Cipher? He'll fade, quietly, like a whisper finally let go. His last words won't be rage or defiance. They'll be relief. Because for the first time, the voices will be gone. But the real question, the one Gen V hasn't answered yet, is simple. If Cipher's mind was never his own, how many other soups are still hearing echoes? Final thoughts: Cipher's secret is out. Marie deserved to lose this round, because this wasn't her fight. It was his reckoning. But when the next round comes, and the lines between mind and monster finally blur for everyone, maybe Marie won't just be fighting Cipher anymore. Maybe she'll be fighting the ghost of every soup that ever lived.